My eyes saw a tired family on the side of the road. My dashcam saw something else entirely, rotting corpses, staring straight into the lens, smiling. I'm parked right now under the fluorescent lights of a 24-hour gas station. Doors locked, engine running, heater on full blast, and I still can't stop my hands from shaking. I'm a county patrol officer. Only 2 years on the job, but I've built a reputation for going strictly by the book. Rules keep you safe. Protocol eliminates variables. That's what I've always believed. My patrol route is a long, isolated stretch of 2-lane highway running along the edge of a deep freshwater lake. On one side, a steep rocky drop into black water. On the other, dense pine forest. No houses, no streetlights, no other roads for 40 miles. I work the graveyard shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Usually it's just me, the hum of tires, and static on the radio. Tonight started like any other. Clear, cold, thick fog rolling off the lake and drifting across the asphalt. Around 2:15 a.m., I spotted a dark minivan ahead of me, driving well under the speed limit. As I closed the distance, I noticed the passenger tail light was out, and the van was drifting. Slowly crossing the center line, correcting, drifting back toward the shoulder near the embankment. Textbook reasonable suspicion. I initiated a stop. The van pulled over onto the gravel shoulder, coming to rest just a few feet from the drop into the lake. I followed procedure exactly, offset position, wheels angled, hand on the trunk to leave a print before approaching. The metal felt strangely cold, damp. I walked up to the driver's window and knocked. It rolled down manually. Inside was a completely normal family, an exhausted-looking mother in the driver's seat, a father asleep in the passenger seat, snoring softly. 2 kids in the back, maybe 8 or 9, fast asleep under a pile of blankets. "Ma'am, your tail light is out, and you were having trouble holding your lane," I said. "I'm so sorry, officer," she said, voice hoarse. "We've been driving a long time, just trying to get there before morning." I asked for her license and registration. She reached across her sleeping husband and handed me the documents. When her fingers brushed mine, they were freezing, like touching ice. I told her I'd run her information and headed back to my cruiser. I climbed in, radioed dispatch, gave them the plate number, and settled in to wait while the system processed it. Out of habit, I glanced down at my dashcam monitor to confirm it was recording the van. I stopped breathing. The image on the screen was wrong. The van on the monitor wasn't the one I just walked away from. This one was crushed, roof caved in, bumper hanging by a single bolt, covered in thick algae and river weeds. Tires flat and rotted, half buried in mud. It looked like something dragged out of a lake after decades underwater. And through the shattered rear window, staring directly into the camera, were 4 faces. Bloated, skeletal, gray flesh peeling in wet strips, empty eye sockets filled with stagnant water. The mother, the father, the 2 children. All of them smiling. Not a normal smile, jaws pulled back unnaturally, stretched into wide, gaping grins. My hands locked onto the monitor. I thought it was malfunctioning. I looked up through my windshield. The minivan sitting in front of me was pristine, clean, intact, brake lights glowing red. Through the back window, I could see the kids sleeping peacefully. I looked back at the monitor. The wreckage was still there. The corpses were still there. And they'd moved. The mother had raised a skeletal, waterlogged arm and pressed it against the shattered glass. Tapping. I couldn't hear it through the cruiser doors, but I could see the bones striking the lens. Tab, tab, tab. Still smiling that impossible grin. The radio crackled. Dispatch, her voice suddenly unsteady. "Unit 4, are you sure you're looking at a dark minivan? The system flagged this plate. It belongs to a vehicle involved in a missing persons case. 30 years ago." My blood went cold. "A family of 4, she read. "Last seen at a gas station near your location. Police believed the driver fell asleep and the vehicle went into the lake. They never found the car, never found the bodies. The license you gave me belongs to the mother. She's listed as legally dead." The radio went silent. I looked up through the windshield again. The minivan was gone. No engine sound. No tires on gravel, just gone. I aimed my spotlight at the empty shoulder where it had been parked. No tire tracks, just a massive puddle of black, stagnant water, bubbling and sinking into the dirt. A smell of dead fish and ancient mud flooded into my cruiser through the vents. I grabbed the gear shift, ready to drive away and never look back. Before my foot hit the gas, the entire cruiser lurched violently sideways. Something was dragging my 2-ton vehicle across the gravel, straight toward the embankment. I floored it. The engine screamed, tires spinning, kicking up dirt and gravel, but the sideways momentum was too strong. I looked out the passenger window. The lake was churning, boiling white foam against the rocks, and rising out of the black water were 4 figures. The family. Except they weren't human anymore. Bloated, gray, rotting, the same corpses from the monitor, jaws locked open in that horrific grin. And fused into their spines were massive, glistening tentacles, thick as tree trunks, rising straight out of the deep water, using the dead bodies like puppets. The corpse puppets were pressed against my cruiser, skeletal hands gripping the door frames, the window wells. The tentacles hauled my entire vehicle sideways, inch by inch, toward the drop-off. The stench was overwhelming. The passenger window shattered. A rotting hand reached through, grabbing the seat fabric, pulling harder. My rear tires slipped over the edge. The back of the cruiser dropped, undercarriage slamming against rock. I was staring straight up at the night sky, the lake churning just feet below my bumper. I had 1 second. I gripped the wheel, locked my arms, and slammed the accelerator to the floor. The engine screamed. The front tires bit into solid asphalt. For 1 agonizing second, the cruiser hung suspended in a violent tug-of-war between horsepower and whatever was pulling from the lake. Then the tires caught. The cruiser tore forward with a sickening, wet ripping sound as the skeletal hands were torn from their grip. I launched over the embankment edge and slammed back onto the highway, tires screaming, propelling me forward like a missile. I didn't lift my foot off the gas. In my rearview mirror, I watched the massive tentacles thrash against the gravel where my cruiser had been. The rotting bodies dangled limply from their ends as the whole mass slid back over the embankment and sank beneath the black water. No splash, just gone. I drove over 110 miles an hour with no sirens, no radio call, nothing. Just straight ahead until I saw the lights of this gas station. I checked my cruiser after I parked. The passenger window is completely shattered. The door is crushed inward from some massive circular pressure. And sitting on my passenger seat in the broken glass are 3 severed skeletal fingers, coated in thick, foul lake mud. I'm not going back to the station. I'm leaving the keys in the ignition and walking away from this job for good. If you're ever driving alone on a dark highway near deep water, and you see a car ahead of you, drifting slowly, weaving over the lines, trying to get your attention, do not stop. Do not pull over to help them.